Order. I'd like to welcome everyone here tonight. We have a number of items important items on the agenda tonight, as well as the opportunity to recognize some of our employees for the great service they have given to Jackson County and our citizens of the county. At this time, would Mr. Manning, the county administrator, please call the roll to establish a quorum?
Yes, sir. Mr. Gully.
Present.
Mr. Kimmer.
Present.
Mr. Buckner.
Present.
And Mr. McBride.
Present. And if all would stand, I'd like to ask Mr. Porter, our county attorney, to please offer our invocation tonight, and Commissioner Buckner to please lead our Pledge of Allegiance.
God our Father, we come before you as in a humble way to thank you for the blessings you give us and to ask for your continued blessings upon us as a county. God, we know that you have provided us our inalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. God, we pray we'll never take these rights for granted. We'll always stand up for those rights and fight for them wherever possible. Watch over us and guide us. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen. Amen.
Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In your packet tonight, you have the agenda that covers both the new business portion of our meeting as well as our work session tonight. As I said earlier, we do have a number of important items to cover. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda for the January 23rd, 2023 Commission meeting?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion. To have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. Any discussion? If no further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. We do have the opportunity tonight to recognize some of our employees who have done a tremendous service to Jackson County. And at this time, if I can get the commissioners to join me down front, and we will bring forward a member of our team to recognize them. Well, Linda, we're going to ask you to go ahead and come forward, please. And I know everybody knows Linda and knows what a great job that Linda does for us. She is the nutrition coordinator for our Council of Aging. As you ride around the county on a lot of days out in our different sites that we work to support our senior citizens, you'll see Linda out there coordinating nutrition activities as well as other activities that goes on in the county. And she has done a tremendous job for us. She also stepped in for a while we were trying to figure out who was going to be a director, and took on a lot of additional responsibility and did a tremendous and great job with that. So Linda, we want to say thank you for your 15 years of service to Jackson County, working with our Council of Aging. We expect you to be here another 45 years. So, not to make light of it, we really appreciate the service that our employees in Jackson County provide to all of our citizens of Jackson County, and with a lot of dedication that this service has done. We want to say thank you very much. So we do have a certificate of recognition here that says this award is given to Linda Larkham in appreciation for your 15 years of dedicated service to the Jackson County Commission and to the people of Jackson County. Presented on the 23rd day of January 2023. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Did you read the fine print? 2 weeks vacation.
It's on I didn't see that.
Right there.
I did not see that anywhere. We do have some others that we want to call out in recognition. They're not here tonight, so if I could at least, Michelle, see their certificates. Daryl Hancock retired in November of last year, and we wanted to recognize his service. He was with us for 10 years, working as a member of the maintenance team. So he did retire on the 1st of November of last year. But he certainly did a tremendous job in support. Also, we had Connie. Probably Connie is still working out at the park. Connie has been with us now for 10 years. She was working as a park secretary. But if you know Connie, you know that she was there every day. She was checking in people. She was taking phone calls. She was just doing a lot of tremendous work for the park. This past year, or earlier this year, we promoted her to be the assistant park manager as a responsibility for the park. And so Connie has done a tremendous job for us. And also Michelle Dillman. Michelle was in the sheriff's office. She has 10 years of service. She's worked with the jails. She's worked as a dispatcher. She's worked as a corrections deputy, from sergeant to lieutenant. Currently, she is a corrections deputy, and we just want to say thank you for the great work that she has done. And also Steve Woods, who Steve, 25 years in our public works department as an HMT, now is a sign technician that's worked for us, so 25 years of dedicated service to Jackson County. So we will make sure that we get these certificates of recognition to all of these employees. So we want to say thanks for everything that they're doing for all of our citizens of the county. Thanks very much. Thank you. And Linda, there's no fine print on that certificate. Okay. All right, with that, we will move into the next area of our meeting, and that will be request, are there any requests for public comments? I don't think we have any tonight. We'll move now into the new business portion of our meeting. In your packet, you have the minutes for the January 9th, 2023 board meeting of the commission for your review. So do I have a motion to adopt the minutes from the January 9th, 2023 meeting and the work session?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Several meetings in work sessions we have discussed rate increase need for solid waste residential garbage collection. In your packet is the information sheet that was provided regarding that. If I understand this, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this ends up being a $15 a year rate increase, $1.25 per month rate increase, so $15 a year.
Be $16 a year.
How much?
$16. $16 a month.
$16 a month, but overall the rate increase is $1.25 per month rate increase, so for $15 a year. Thank you very much. So any discussion regarding this motion?
That's plus a 2%.
Yes, an annual, until we get to a point where we think we are sufficient, and then we can make a decision to suspend the 2%.
All right, on approval of this, when would the rate increase go into effect?
June.
So 1 June, okay. Any other questions, discussion? Do I have a motion? I would add the period of effectiveness to the motion. Do I have a motion to approve the rate increase for solid waste residential garbage collection effective 1 June 2023?
I'll make that motion with the adding June 1 effective date.
Okay, so we have a motion. We have a second.
I'll second that.
We have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. Also, in previous discussions, work sessions, we have discussed a rate increase for our Jackson County Park. And that packet is, that information is in your packet as well. I believe we would also make this rate increase effective 1 June
Yes.
of 2023. Okay, any discussion? Do I have a motion to approve the rate increase for Jackson County Park effective 1 June 2023?
I'll make that motion.
Have a motion, to have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries, thank you.
For clarity, Mr. Chairman, do we need to put the increase, the amount of increase in that motion?
Yes, we do.
Is it the 10%?
Okay. So we will adjust the motion to make sure it reflects the percent increase. Okay, and the amount increase as well for the previous motion. Thank you. Good call. Next on the agenda is a motion to approve and sign resolution for speed limit on Wilkins Drive. So I'll open that for questions and discussion. Any questions? Any discussion?
No, sir.
Okay, so do I have a motion to approve and sign a resolution for speed limit on Wilkins Drive?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries, thank you very much. I believe at the last, well, I know at the last meeting in the work session had a discussion about the continued support of the Jackson County Commission to our Liberty Learning Foundation. We do have a packet, or a sheet in the packet that provides a recommendation of a $2,500 donation to Liberty Learning Foundation. Do I have a motion to approve support for the Liberty Learning Civic Program in the amount of $2,500? We have a motion.
I'll second.
We have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Also in your package, you have a letter of recommendation from our county engineer, Mr. Campbell, for approval of the hiring committee's recommendation to hire an individual who will be will assume the financial clerk position within the Public Works Department. The pay grade will be grade 6. The step will be step 3 for this position as outlined in the Jackson County pay scale. Do I have a motion to approve hiring committee's recommendation for vacant financial clerk position at the Public Works Department?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion, have a second? I'll second. We have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Last item in our new business agenda is a motion to approve the memorandum of agreement between Jackson County and the town of Skyline for the transfer of ownership of the Cumberland Mountain Park, and to authorize the chairman to execute the memorandum of agreement on behalf of the Jackson County Commission, as well as all documents which may be necessary to be completed for transfer. This has been discussed in several work sessions. The commission has gone through a series of reviews to make sure that we understand everything that would be required as a part of this transfer. So let me open the floor for discussion.
Yes, more comment. I want to thank everybody involved in this. It was a pretty arduous process to make sure that we were representing the county's ownership of this property correctly, and make sure we're getting fair value for what we did. a tremendous effort by the town of Skyline and what y'all have done in maintaining and improving this park. Thank you for being good stewards of the property. You had no ownership of it, but that you as a city did what you should to improve your community, and we're thankful to hopefully make this transfer tonight. But y'all did the way that a town should act. You conducted yourself that way with this park. Thank you for that. Okay, any other comment?
Just like to also echo what he said and say thank you for all the hard work you do. I know you can go over there a lot of days in summer and all the kids will be gone and there'll be parents out there working, and that doesn't go unnoticed, and we appreciate that. And thank you guys for what you do.
Any other comment? Okay, the memorandum of agreement is in your packet. It does recognize all those elements that we just talked about, the work that has been done by the town of Skyline, the fair market value of the property. Also, it recognizes the fact that there is some value in cost avoidance for the commission by transferring this property to the town of Skyline. And we certainly appreciate the town taking that. So with that, do I have a motion to approve the memorandum of agreement between Jackson County and the town of Skyline for the transfer of ownership of the Cumberland Mountain Park, and to authorize the chairman to execute the memorandum of agreement on behalf of the Jackson County Commission, as well as all documents which may be necessary to complete the transfer?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion.
I'll second.
We have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. Mayor Skipper, thanks for the hard work that you and your team have done with this.
Thank y'all for everything.
We now will move into the discussion items of our agenda for the work session. First, solid waste. We started a process of looking at the number of non-paying customers that we had, and start a process of identifying those so that we can start collection. I believe that process is ongoing as we speak, but can you give us just a little update on that process?
Very simple. Take a look at it. You'll see the debt that we pulled from our system that we're holding over $200. So once a person gets to $200, you can understand with $14.75 a month, that's a lot of missing your bill, not paying. So this is the debt. The total you see there is for all the customers over 200. Now that includes customers that we're looking into that's got exemption issues. We're calling that exemption debt. Right now we found around $38,000 that shouldn't be in this number, this 185 total number, right? There's gonna be a lot of sorting to really separate these. If y'all see that list there, the exemption issues, suspended accounts, closed accounts, refused to pay, court accounts, active customers that are past due. There's a lot of filtering that needs to take place there to see what our actual debt really is. But as it stands right now, this is our total number of outstanding debt. The process that we have, once it gets around $100, we begin sending out citations. By that point, we've already made multiple phone calls, doing all the contacts that we can. We have now moved to picking up that can around $100. Once it gets to this point, we have enforcement officers, 2 of those guys contacting these people, doing what they can to collect it. When it gets to a point where we're refused to pay, we're working on the process to possibly a summons, somehow get them in the court system and get it paid. Rocky's been a little bit of assistance with that. The court system now is working some old cases. We're seeing some collections out of that. I, however, don't necessarily like that end process because it sets for a very, very long time. And so this debt's just sitting there, and we have to, they have to run up on them and catch them we exhaust a lot of money chasing $200. We'll spend $1,000 to collect this 200 if we're not careful. I have discussed a little bit with our revenue commissioner. There are a couple other counties taking steps in this direction, and I would like to begin to look at, possibly with your guys' approval, getting our bad debt put on our property taxes. So we would compile a list toward October, toward the end of the year, these people that are refusing to pay. We had exhausted every resource in the world. Now we turn that debt over to the property owner, and it's collected yearly. And it frees the court system up, it frees Rocky's guys up, it frees a lot of manpower up chasing a very small amount of debt.
So what if they don't own the property, but they're renting? What do you do?
The property owner will be responsible for that debt.
How would that?
This debt that you see here is not property owners.
Right, I see.
Some counties do it, and they call it, a lot of counties have a weed lien. A lot of counties have municipalities like the city of Scottsboro. If they went out and cleaned up the property, they'll assess a weed lien. And October 1st, when we send the tax bill out, whatever your property tax was plus the weed lien. And if you don't pay, then it goes to the process, goes to the tax sale just like it normally would.
Most of these folks is rental properties. We do a lot of chasing rental properties. The landowner could charge that $16 a month extra in his rent to cover that if he just did it a yearly thing. But that, to me, is the only surefire way to get our debt under control, is to get it that way.
Well, I'll offer to you, I think we need to move forward with a process to collect back debt on this. One of the issues that you have when this becomes persistent is the neighbor down the street sees that the neighbor up the street is not paying, but garbage is still being collected, and so it can really create a problem for you if it proliferates through a community. That's one issue. Now, the other is, I understand that once the debt gets more than 5 years old, it is no longer collectible.
Yes, I have, let me give you just a couple numbers here. So write-off since January of 2022, there has been $47,000 written off.
That's over 5 years.
That has went over 5 years, yes, sir. Now, we would eliminate this write-off stuff if we were able to collect our money at the end of the year through the property taxes.
So I would offer, my thought was give you the opportunity to go and look at the options that we have for collecting the debt, bring it back before the commission, and with a proposal of how we do this. Now, in all of this, you say you got exemption issues, but we also, you have put together an exemption policy. Yes. So that people who really are in need of exemption and meet the exemption qualifications, you're working with those people. Absolutely. To make sure that they are properly exempt.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So I agree with what you said, and it's setting a precedent for neighbors who see their neighbors not paying, and also hopefully this will eliminate us. When we pick up trash cans when they stop paying.
Yes.
Well, unfortunately, that puts litter on the side of the roads and in the ditches because.
And it costs us. We charge them a reinstatement fee, but we're not going to recoup.
Right. So this land, putting it on the land tax will do away with that as well. So I think that's a great idea.
Also in your plan, if you're looking at doing this, can you offer in your plan a way to educate the owners of the property that have renters so they won't be blindsided with this toward the end of the year? You know, get them out some type of some information.
We had we've moved some trailer courts into that owner already taken care of. So we're kind of positioned very small to start taking these steps. We have letters in place and things like that. You are now responsible for your. I believe that we need to educate them tremendously about it.
Okay. Any other comment? Okay. So we'll take the action to look at options and bring it back before the commission.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, in our maintenance department, just a quick update on our Courthouse HVAC, I will say that we have been in the process of, as you know, trying to get bids in. We've gotten bids in for the control. We have not gotten bids in, but JMR Plus H has bids that have been submitted to them. People are going to bid, or companies are going to bid the control system, but they're having difficulty getting bids in on the mechanical portion of the HVAC. We have extended the bid opening date to, I believe,
February 9th.
the 9th of February, which would be in time for the next commission meeting. We have talked with Invest in Alabama counties. This is not just an issue with Jackson County on HVAC. It is an issue that they're experiencing throughout the state. There's a lot of work that is out there that to be done and needs to be done. And so the companies that are having to deal with this are picking and choosing which programs they want to work on. So hopefully we'll get a bid. Let me ask our Director of Maintenance, any additional comments?
That's pretty much it, just that it's been put off. I have been in contact with several contractors that hadn't called in before, so the engineers and the architects are still reaching out, trying to get more people, more contractors interested in the job. So I'm hoping on the 9th we'll have a couple of bidders.
But we will continue to pursue this because this is an important activity that we need to get done. So thanks very much. Next on discussion items is under the Commission Director's use of vehicles. We talked about this in a previous work session. We have several of our directors that currently have allowed use of vehicles. These are directors that can be called out at any time to have to go and deal with a situation, whether it's public works or others. But as you look at all of our directors, or most all of our directors, they have responsibilities across the whole county, whether it's a council of aging, whether it is maintenance, whether it is our sanitation department. And so many times they're called out to go solve a problem, whether it is to deal with a down vehicle or whether it's to replace an air conditioning unit in one of our facilities for Council of Aging. So I would propose that we need to consider allowing these directors to have use of their vehicles. Now, that use is only for county work. Be able to take them home. They're there if they have to respond. It's not for public use at all. So let me open for discussion. Any comments regarding that?
So you're talking about access to vehicles they already own, or are you looking at purchasing any additional inventory?
I think right now we start off with vehicles that we own that are there, and each of the directors do have use of a vehicle right now from their work site.
How many directors vehicles are we talking about, and do we have any kind of additional cost as to what it would be for them to be able to take them home?
Comment?
Let's start with how many.
Any cost that we have now, the incurred cost is the fuel to go home and back.
Additional fuel.
That would be, and all our directors are operating in the county, so.
So how many vehicles?
I think additionally 4 we were talking about. We're talking about Council of Aging, maintenance, sanitation, and Parks already approved.
It's approved, I don't do it.
Okay,
So,
all right.
And in previous years, all departments had drove vehicles home, and the commission changed that several years back. Is that correct? Do you know, Mr. Mann?
Since I've been here, I think the current ones that are currently driving have been driving, and as we mentioned, the county park has been added.
Okay.
So I think we're at this point adding 3 additional vehicles. I'll check and make sure that I have that number right, but would allow that. So,
So the
yeah.
cost would be, like you say, would be the fuel. Go back for it.
I mean, I think,
Vehicles are already in possession, the county owns the vehicles, the insurance is already paid by the county.
You know, a common sense approach, if a person needs to go north and then they gotta drive south to get the vehicle and then gotta go north to deal with an issue, I mean, that's a lot of running around there. And we know, everybody knows how important time is, and it could be a critical issue that we're dealing with, and I don't see a problem there, but
I think also this does require that it's taxable, that use. Now, correct me if I'm wrong there, but there's,
Vehicle usage tax, so that would be tax
Okay.
on the daily use,
okay.
right through payroll.
There are some situations that I think this is fairly urgent to allow that to happen. I would propose setting aside the rules and getting a motion to allow these directors to have use of their county vehicles. Any comment there?
Well, I goes back to Mr. Gully's question. I mean, do we have a list of who does and who doesn't?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Yeah, we absolutely do. And these would be vehicles for those folks that are dealing across the county, the directors.
So we're talking about, just to clarify all that here, we're talking about county park, which is already approved, right?
Right, that's approved. Maintenance, it would include sanitation, solid waste, that department.
Which I think
Council of Aging.
in previous years, I know sanitation, the director used to drive the vehicle home.
That's correct.
So,
Yeah.
yes.
I just see where it's only fair across the board for them to have the same privilege.
Yeah.
In need of an emergency, whatever comes up.
Yeah. And that's the objective of this, is to have that. As Mr. McBride said, there are times when somebody's got a response or to get a vehicle, they've got to drive all the way back to here to pick up their vehicle to head out to go do that work.
I make the motion to set aside the rules.
Do we have a second?
second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Do I have a motion to allow all of our county department directors use of county vehicles?
I'll make that motion.
Have a motion, have a second?
I'll second.
Have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Next is application for bonding rebuild Alabama funds. This is, the only portion of this discussion is that, as you know, we have had meetings regarding this. This is not a commitment to go do this at all. By submitting an application request, we're able to get the firm data by which we can discuss to make a decision of whether we want to proceed with that as an option or not for our roads program. Again, an application, submitting an application request in no way commits this county to do that. It would take a lot more discussion and a resolution by the county commission to do that. So I'm just proposing to, it doesn't take a vote, but I'm just proposing that we go ahead and submit an application to make sure we get the right updated information so we have that available to consider in this. Any comment?
Yes, I 100% agree on the application process, because that's going to take a little bit of time to get all that together, and whatever we can do to speed this process up to know whether it's even an option, because if we don't get approval of the application, we don't even have an option to this, and so all the rest of the discussion is mute without the application. So.
Okay. And I think the process would be the application form's available. It's a couple of pages long that we would just do a request. Mr. Campbell, any information on that?
Is there an application fee, by the way?
I'm sorry?
There's not a fee for that.
No.
So if I downloaded the appropriate application, it's located on ALDOT site for the Alabama Transportation Infrastructure Bank, and it's in the meat portion of the application that involves project description. It's almost identical to the Rebuild Alabama HRIP application. So as I read this and interpret this application, we would have to identify project information, such as in the same way that we did County Road 19 and selected that. So project selections for the type of funding that we choose. So given the assumptions of the revenue sources that were handed out in the meeting, if we assume some allocations on the top work that would go to, and then select the projects under that type of work for the amount of volume, then we can provide the detailed estimates, map, photos, narratives, and they ask for 3 years financial statements along with that. Once the application and required supporting documentation are complete, then that is forwarded to the infrastructure bank's CFO, who reviews the information and forwards that to finance and audits. And then once through finance and audits, it's on to the ALDOT director, chief engineer, financial advisor, and legal counsel. And that's when it's before the board. And we get to the point where that was mentioned in the meeting where we're notified by letter after that about the ability on the terms of the bonding potential. So I would certainly welcome additional eyes on this, but as I see it to be accurate on our plans, I would think we would have to identify projects and allocate some sort of breakdown on funding sources and how we intend to spend that.
And once they send back the letter, that's the point at which we would have to make a decision, and that's the point of commitment, if I understand right.
I think that's the way I understand it also, but because it's not until that point until we learn firmly the terms
Right.
of the bonding.
And that, I think that's what is, that's important for us to understand, the terms as well as the financing arrangement in terms of rates and those aspects of it, for us to understand if we want to go down this path. This is just one option for us to consider, and so we're just trying to get the information to consider that.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, any other question, discussion? Okay.
I'm 100% for moving forward with the application myself.
Okay, any objection to getting the application submitted and getting the information back? Okay, thanks. Next in the discussion items under commission is City of Scottsboro Memorandum of Agreement for Special Election. I'm going to turn that over to our county administrator to discuss.
Yeah, the Scottsboro had a special election February 23rd. And this is the same agreement we do with the city for every election that's held. So it's just us supplying two custodians, public custodians, and if they reimburse us for that, the cost for that. And that's what we're doing.
So this is something that we can carry over to our next meeting to put on the new business agenda to approve with this. And that, like you say, this is a reimbursement of our cost of supporting the election.
$1,000 of cost, and we provide two poll, what they call electronic poll book custodians for the entire time of the election, and then we pay those $500.
Okay.
It's just in and out.
Okay. So any questions or discussion? Put it on the new business agenda for next meeting. Okay. Next is we'll turn to Public Works. We have two items in our work session for Public Works. One is Rebuild Alabama Infrastructure with Sustainability and Equity Grant application, and the others are heavy-duty trucks. So let me turn it over to our county engineer, Mr. Campbell, for discussion.
Thank you, Chairman and Commissioners. The first item is a raised discretionary grant program for 2023. This is a federal program that is part of the new infrastructure law, bipartisan infrastructure law. And the notice of funding comes to us, thanks a lot, mostly to Misty, keeping us spearheaded on these opportunities and advising us of the notice for funding and upcoming application. So there is a sheet, it's a colored map that I'll reference as I walk through this, but just briefly before I get going, there's $1.5 billion in discretionary funding that's available for this type of infrastructure improvement. And at least 15 million of this is guaranteed to go toward projects located in areas of persistent poverty and historically disadvantaged communities. Those areas are represented on the map that you have. And if the projects are located within those locations, 100% of the federal cost share is provided. So it comes to us with no matching funds required. We are competing with literally almost everyone for these discretionary funds, and the projects have a $1 million minimum threshold. So in a brainstorming session, in a meeting, thanks again to Misty, we arrived at a couple of projects that one we had done work on, had already applied for a federal grant, Federal Land Access Program grant that we were unsuccessful with, but a lot of that work is laid out as far as the application work that exists, the supporting letters that exist, and that is for County Road 98 and County Road 75. So that is essentially the corridor to Russell Cave. That is also a major collector in our hot mix network of roads. And the cave sees almost 29,000 visitors per day. But it being a major collector, it's a road that's on our radar already for resurfacing. So that type of work is applicable for this project application, and we would plan to highlight the historical and cultural interest as well as the tourism stimulus that visitations are provided to the county. You'll notice its location, the legend is a little misleading. So the blue shades represent historically disadvantaged community tracts, and the orange shades represent persistent poverty census tract. The combination of those are the purple. So we would actually touch two of the categories, being one, area of persistent poverty, and also with the historically disadvantaged community. So we would get both with the 98 project. Also a project that came to mind as a good candidate is a 1.4 mile section of 4-lane with paved shoulders and extensive guardrail. And that's County Road 85. County Road 85 leads from US 72 to West Rock. So West Rock being the 4th highest employer in the county, and the road leading in there being a county road, a 4-lane section that was last paved 26 years ago, we would highlight the quality of jobs provided by West Rock, and obviously that section of road would be infrastructure applicable because it is in need of work resurfacing. So that would also be a resurfacing project that we would propose. Both of these would fit the category of excess of 1 million but less than 25. So with your consideration to these, we would work with Misty and get her everything she needs on the technical data. And we are very grateful for the narrative abilities of writing and assembling these grants that she provides and helps us with. So those are two presented for your consideration.
So again, I believe there's no matching fund requirement for this at all. Okay.
And so real broad, that it is high traffic and commercial, is that the criteria, or what are the qualifiers?
So it's any road and building project, road and bridge project would technically be applicable. This is an infrastructure improvement grant. So it really limits it or does not limit the avenue of projects that can be chosen, but I will read some words that are included in their in their call for applications. They are interested in projects that address climate change, ensure racial equity, and remove barriers to opportunity. Those words are listed in the information on this notice, and we feel like
So let me inject here. So to me, you're talking about walking and bike riding for folks that don't have a car and have access to historical sites or to work would be what we're looking for, so that a person who is economically disadvantaged would be able to safely get to work through guardrails, having shoulders, those type things. I'm able to walk from Stevenson up the hill to meet. I mean, is that what we're looking at, or West Rock? I'm sorry.
I think all those modes of transportation would be possible along both of these routes.
So as far as acceptable grants, that's what we're looking for.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to confuse anyone. All right, so yes, sounds like great projects to me. Good work.
So I want to make sure, I don't think this requires a vote of any kind. It's just an acknowledgement that we're going to proceed with a grant on these three recommendations.
Okay.
And that'll be a case of supplying. Now, once this, if we were to be approved, we would have to vote for acceptance of grant, because that then is funding.
I think so. Definitely.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you both for the work that you've done on this.
Thank you. It was Misty did all the work. We just said we'll come after two, literally.
Thank you, Misty.
Okay, thank you. Next, heavy-duty trucks.
It's time to, really a little past time, to have our order turned in for replacement vehicles. So all the things we'll speak about are heavy-duty triaxle dump trucks, medium-duty dump trucks, and then level weight tractor. So hopefully you have a few photos with figures on those, and I'll just start at that. But please stop as we go through this if you have any questions. We're guaranteed 5 units. Hopefully, none of that changes. We've been assured that none of that will change, and we have slots for 5 units. And so this price presented is ACCA bid process, which is a joint bid program that's put out for solicitation every year. It's awarded to different vendors based on specifications that are met. So the price represented is a 2024 Kenworth T880. Typically, you see a couple of different manufacturers here. So last year we presented KW and Peterbilt. Years past we've had Mack years and years back. So the reason you're only seeing one, we have been KW for several years, but a lot of that is due to, initially it was due to price and availability, and now it's solidly availability. And so the price is competitively bid. We're not circumventing any process with that, but they are the only vendor that can supply us with trucks based on our checking when we look back at Peterbilt and Kenworth like we did last year. The words from Peterbilt, they do expect to have some inventory third and fourth quarter coming up in 23. And when we tried to nail them down on pricing, they were unable to deliver a price from the manufacturer. They wanted to price it, but they could not themselves get a price that they could give. So they even advised us to pursue this route. So the first price is the truck, cab and chassis. Second price is the body that's included. That's a separate ACCA item that's joined together, so you can see the total price of the heavy duty. The next sheet is 2024 T480s. These are the medium duties. This is priced through Sourcewell. So it's also a competitive joint bid program. However, ACCA, they do not do medium duty trucks. So the Sourcewell program that's identified by state auditors is what we rely on for this pricing. And that's cab, chassis, and body included all together for those. And that is 3 units. that would replace current inventory. And then the last sheet is a 2024 Kenworth T880. And the price is listed there, and that's from the ACCA bid, just like the heavy-duty dump chassis. And this would replace current lowboy truck inventory. And the last sheet relates to our current lowboy truck inventory. And this is a change. And this is a change based on a truck that was ordered last December. We were notified recently that the inventory that we ordered will not be available. But a very similar truck is available, and I've highlighted the changes for you to see. So what was approved last December for purchase was a 2022 Kenworth T880S day cab at $165,750. So when we ordered that truck, that's got an Allison trans, automatic trans, and then it had the PACCAR MX-13. Those orders were placed based on guidance to availability of inventory that we would be able to get. There was a change in what would be available, is the only way I know to say it. We were informed that that truck would not be available, but this truck is. And it is different in the fact that it's an 18-speed Ultra Shift, and instead of the PACCAR engine, it's an X15 Cummins. So those are listed there on the differences, and there's a slight dollar amount change. So we're asking for approval to change that previously approved $165,750 to the $171,990, and we're waiting on this truck this month. So hopefully, you know, this truck was scheduled to be delivered as this, and then we learned it's going to be this. So with your approval on this change, we'll be able to prepare the purchase order and take possession of this truck, because our current inventory is sold. So we're using a backup lowboy in the interim. Any questions about any of those different categories or trucks or prices or bid processes that we're utilizing?
Comment, discussion?
So we need to set the rules aside and make that adjustment to that.
Let me give you this. March 15th is a drop deadline. Because we're loyal customers and have been for several years, we've been assured that our slots should be available, and we're a priority. However, a purchase order is what guarantees that slot. So I don't want to rush anything or discredit any of this process, but if you're comfortable with moving forward, it certainly would help the circumstance.
The only thing I've got a question about, you're going to a less horsepower vehicle and a straight shift instead of an automatic, is that right?
Let me attest, let me talk about that. That PACCAR on resale, that Cummins is a better engine, it's gonna bring more on resale, it's a better engine overall. They are more expensive than the PACCAR engines, so you're getting a better engine with that. And it's an 18-speed Ultra Shift automatic, it's just not a Allison.
Okay.
That's great.
I was just gonna ask if that was a problem to you in the future.
A lot of the horsepower that's represented is just a setting, so they can change, you know, in 10 to 20 horsepower. Our trucks come limited with governors from factory, and we never adjust that, but a lot of folks, like heavy haul circumstances or whatever, can make those adjustments.
Your last item, you need that pretty quickly.
We hope to take possession this month. It may go into next month before we actually get this truck delivered, if approved.
But you want that purchase, you need that purchase order pretty soon, as I understood. what you're saying,
Yes, sir,
to
we
make
do.
sure you can get that vehicle. Okay. Do we want to consider setting the rules aside and going ahead and vote? Now, we're voting on all units that you're recommending.
If you approve tonight all of these changes that we represent on each of these pages, we can go ahead and submit the purchase orders and guarantee our slots on all these categories, as well as the change.
So we want to structure this motion as approve the recommended units as presented tonight, change to these. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
So, can you say that again?
So when are you looking to get your dump trucks in? Your 5 dump trucks?
I'm glad you asked that. I'm hopeful that they don't all come in at the same time. So as you see, this price that has risen over the years has turned into a large package when you consider it overall. So, for example, the current inventory we have, we received some in time for the September sale. We received others in time for the winter sale. So it really just depends on when the dealership takes possession from the factory. But I want to go into that a little further. They don't know. And if all these things show up at the same time, this is $1.2 million just in large heavy-duty trucks. There's $1 million in Fund 100 that pays for this. So obviously we have to take into consideration our current inventory and assets, but those have to be approved to go to sale. They have to go to sale, and those funds to stay liquid to keep this program going, it takes some time. So I'm hopeful that they trickle in instead of all at once. So we're looking at third and fourth quarter of this year, I believe, at soonest.
But you can ask the dealership to stagger how they come in,
Okay.
right?
Yes, I think so. It's gotten so dicey now.
I've got new ones on order, and I've got one that was supposed to be here in November that's gonna come in next month, so.
Got you. Okay. I know they face a floor charge if we, if they're,
They have to hold it.
yeah, if they have to hold it and they're anticipating a delivery, as much as $60 a day. So it should all work. And we were able to get a little crafty on this last year's. Once you all approved the sale at the auction company, then we essentially sold them to the auction company at the guarantee. And we were able to take those funds and stay solvent and keep it going until the auction date. So, but we may reach out for temporary transfers for time, or we may enter into a negative number for some short amount of time. So I just want to mention
So
all
that,
that.
that'll be a comeback to the commission on that issue.
Yes, sir.
At the time. Okay, do we want to set aside the rules and approve? And I'm trying to think of how to word this. We're approving your recommended list of units as presented tonight. That's what we would make a motion for.
Yes, sir. They would all be purchases with one change. So
Okay.
if those are okay with you all and approved, we'll get that going.
I'll make the motion to set aside the rules, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, have a motion to set aside the rules. All in favor say aye.
I'll second
I'm
that.
sorry, I need a second. We have a second now?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. So do I have a motion to approve the purchase of the units as recommended tonight, as well as, we got 6, I'm sorry, we got 5, 8, 9 units, and then to purchase as recommended, and in the motion to, for the requested change. That didn't come out very well, but,
I'm trying to.
yeah, you're trying to,
I'll make the motion that we purchase the units requested and approve the amended purchase of the 2023 Kenworth T880 day cam.
sounds like a good motion to me.
And these can be included in the minutes.
I'll second
Yes.
that.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thanks.
Thank you all.
County Administrator, if you don't get that written up properly, we'll, okay.
So we have to play our cards back, but we'll get back to him on it. Does he need to be working on anything, gathering any data for us to move forward? Is that something that we need to tax him with doing?
Yeah, we've already told him to go ahead and proceed with the application, putting together the
I'm talking about crunching some numbers, some data.
I'm going to, in discussion I have had with Mr. Cardinell, who is working this, we do not have to have specific roads. We need to talk about types of work that we want to do, whether it is chip seal or hot mix or bridges or whatever that would be considered there.
No specifics.
He said specifics would come later. We could do the specific, now we will have to have the specifics once we get the, if we were to proceed down this path on the bond. But that was the comment that he gave me. We will check and make sure that that is still valid. I'll get with Jonathan and we'll check that. Okay, so that concludes our work session portion of the meeting, discussion items. At this time, let's proceed to reports from the staff. County Administrator.
Thank you.
County Engineer.
Nothing else, thank you, sir.
Okay, County Attorney.
Good, thank you.
All right, no comments. So now move to comments from the Commission. District 4 Commissioner, Commissioner McBride.
Just want to say congratulations to our area basketball teams on their North Side Mountain on their win, boys and Skyline girls, and congratulations to all the teams that participated and it was a great games to watch, and I really enjoyed, and the sportsmanship that I witnessed was impeccable. Just great time.
District 3 Commissioner, Commissioner Buckner.
Yeah, I just want to echo something I heard today. There was a group that came in to work with their county employees, and they said everyone that we have is polite, courteous, seems excited about the work that they're doing, and I'm just so honored to represent not only the voters of Jackson County, but the hardworking employees we have here. Just continue to do the work that you do, and it's an honor to serve you guys.
District 2 Commissioner, Commissioner Kinnemer.
Also want to say congratulations to the county champions in the tournament this last week, and kudos to all the behavior, adults and students. It was great.
District 1 Commissioner, Commissioner Gully.
Well, I would like to echo the words of the other gentleman, and I'd like to also congratulate the county champs in basketball, and also congratulate the various athletes throughout the county that made it to the all-county football teams that they, excuse me, were just selected this past week, with my boy being one of them. And you know, I went to Rosalie this weekend. They had a little bingo thing, and it was just unbelievable at the outpouring of support that the community brought to the Rosalie Rec League ball teams out there. And I was glad to see that. And Commissioner Kinnemer and myself, we were gone most of last week. We went to training in Prattville, and I think we've got 2 classes left that we'll complete this year to get our certification. So we took one of the advanced course, and it was very educational about the ethics and the Attorney General's program, and then the media classes. So it's been an interesting and educating adventure so far. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, glad to spend some time with him down there this week, and I think we have to go back in March and June, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so we'll get that behind us. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much for what you guys are doing to get that behind you. I would like to say I was out last week and or the week before and last week, but during the first week that I was out, I know that a lot of people were working overtime watching the weather here. As I was where I was watching and calling as well. But the point I would make is made about the county employees. Every time there is an issue in this county, our county employees step up. Sometimes it's midnight, all night. It's wherever they're needed in the county. Whether it is bad weather that they're tracking and trying to put information out to all our citizens and alert all of the responders. We can all be proud of the people that are working for Jackson County and supporting our citizens. So I'd like to say thanks for that. As a note or reminder, I believe on 4 February there's going to be a chili
challenge
in Bridgeport, sponsored by the Bridgeport Lions Club, and it's in recognition of former Superintendent of Education Kevin Duke. So just a reminder for everybody to get out, if you can, get out and support that.
What date is that?
4 February.
And it'll be at the Bridgeport Middle School.
5 o'clock. 5 o'clock. I'd like to say I'm cooking, but I am eating.
Don't hold it against the chili.
Yeah.
Okay. So, with that, let me say thanks also for all our commissioners do every day for us in Jackson County. So thanks very much. And with that, our next meeting date is scheduled for 13 February 2023 at 5 o'clock here. We will now move into a short executive session. Discussion will be regarding contract negotiations. So with that, if everybody would, I would like, I'm sorry?
Make a motion that we go into executive session.
And I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. I'll get there.